In the deepest shadows of the ocean, where sunlight has never reached, something ancient still hunts. It does not chase. It does not rush. It waits. And when it strikes, it does so in a way no other predator on Earth can. A jaw that launches forward. A face that seems unfinished. A hunter that looks more like a nightmare than a living animal. This is the goblin shark. And its method of hunting is not just strange. It is terrifying. Far below the surface, beyond the reach of waves and storms, the ocean transforms into a silent, endless darkness. This is the mesopelagic to bathypelagic zone, a world where pressure crushes, temperatures drop near freezing, and light disappears entirely. In this alien environment, survival demands extreme adaptations. Every movement must be efficient. Every sense must be heightened. Every mistake fatal. And here, drifting through the black water like a ghost from another time, lives the goblin shark. The goblin shark, Mitsukurina ostoni, is often called a living fossil. Not as a metaphor, but as a biological reality. Its lineage stretches back over 125 million years, tracing its origins to ancient sharks that swam alongside the last dinosaurs. While other species evolved into faster, sleeker predators, the goblin shark remained, unchanged, unrefined, almost forgotten. At first glance, the goblin shark appears almost fragile. Its body is soft, almost flabby. Its skin, a pale pinkish hue, reveals the blood vessels beneath, giving it an almost translucent, ghost-like appearance. Its fins are small. Its movement is slow. It does not look like a hunter. It does not look dangerous. And that is exactly what makes it so deadly. Because in the deep sea, speed is not always the answer. Energy is rare. Food is unpredictable. Chasing prey can cost more energy than it provides. So instead of evolving into a fast swimmer, the goblin shark evolved into something else entirely. A predator built around one single, horrifying advantage. A weapon hidden in plain sight. Its jaw. At rest, the goblin shark's mouth appears relatively normal, slightly protruding, but nothing extraordinary. But inside its skull lies a mechanism unlike anything seen in most other sharks. The jaws are not fixed tightly in place. They are attached by elastic ligaments, capable of rapid extension. And when the moment comes, those jaws don't just open. They launch. Scientists call this form of feeding slingshot feeding. But that name barely captures what truly happens. In a fraction of a second, the goblin shark's jaws shoot forward from its face, extending outward like a spring-loaded trap. The motion is so fast, so sudden, that prey often has no time to react. The distance the jaws travel can be astonishing, up to nearly 10% of the shark's body length. Imagine your own mouth, suddenly projecting outward from your face, grabbing something, and snapping back just as quickly. This is not just feeding. This is an ambush engineered at the level of biomechanics. But how does a creature that lives in complete darkness even find its prey? The deep sea offers no visual clues. There is no sunlight, no shadows, no clear outlines. Instead, the goblin shark relies on a sensory system that borders on the supernatural. Along its elongated snout, a flattened blade-like structure known as a rostrum, are thousands of tiny electroreceptors. These are called ampullae of Lorenzini, and they allow the shark to detect the faint electrical signals produced by living organisms. Every heartbeat, every muscle contraction, every flick of a fin. Even in total darkness, the goblin shark can see life through electricity. This means prey cannot hide by staying still. It cannot disappear into darkness. If it is alive, it is visible, not by light, but by energy. When a small fish or squid drifts nearby, the goblin shark senses it long before it ever comes into range. But instead of rushing forward, it waits, slowly adjusting its position, closing the distance, almost invisibly. Its movement is so subtle that it barely disturbs the water. And then, at exactly the right moment, it strikes. The jaws explode forward. Teeth, long, thin, and needle-like, snap shut around the prey. And just as quickly, The jaws retract, pulling the victim into the mouth. All within milliseconds. All without warning. Unlike many sharks that rely on powerful bites or tearing motions, the goblin shark's teeth are designed for grasping. Not cutting. Not crushing. But capturing. Holding. Preventing escape. This makes sense in an environment where prey is scarce. There is no room for missed opportunities. No second chances. Every strike must succeed. And remarkably, it usually does. But the goblin shark's hunting method reveals something deeper. Something more unsettling. Because it challenges what we think a predator should be. It is not fast. It is not aggressive. It does not dominate its environment through strength or speed. It survives through precision, through patience, through a mechanism so specialized, so bizarre, that it almost feels like an evolutionary experiment. And yet, it works. For millions of years, this strange hunter has continued its quiet existence, far from the surface world. Rarely seen. Rarely understood. Even today, most of what we know about goblin sharks comes from accidental catches, or brief glimpses captured by deep-sea cameras. Encounters are rare. Observations are limited. And many questions remain unanswered. How often do they hunt? How far can they detect electrical signals? Do they prefer certain prey, or simply take whatever they find? And perhaps most intriguingly, how did such a unique feeding mechanism evolve in the first place? Because in the world of evolution, nothing happens without reason. Every structure, every behavior, every adaptation is shaped by millions of years of pressure, survival, and chance. And the goblin shark's jaw is one of the most extreme examples ever discovered. To understand it, we must look deeper, not just into the ocean, but into time itself. Long before modern sharks ruled the seas, before whales grew to giants, before humans ever walked the earth, there were ancient oceans filled with creatures that defy imagination. Armored fish, massive marine reptiles, and early sharks, experimenting with forms and functions that would shape the future of marine life. Some of these early sharks developed protrusible jaws, allowing them to extend their reach slightly when feeding. It was a useful adaptation, a small advantage in a competitive world. But in the lineage that would eventually lead to the goblin shark, that small advantage was pushed further, and further, and further still, until it became something extraordinary, a feeding system so specialized that it transformed the entire identity of the animal. But evolution is not always about improvement. It is about survival in a very specific niche. And in the deep sea, where conditions are stable but extreme, such specialization can persist for millions of years. Unchanged, untouched, almost frozen in time. The goblin shark is not a failure of evolution. It is a success, in a world we barely understand. And yet, for all its strange adaptations, for all its terrifying precision, there is still something about this creature that feels incomplete, unfinished, as if it belongs to another era. A reminder that the deep ocean is not just a place. It is a time capsule, and within it, the goblin shark continues to hunt. Silently, efficiently, relentlessly. But what exactly does it hunt? And how does it survive in an ecosystem where food can vanish for days, or even weeks? To answer that, we must follow the goblin shark deeper into its world. A world of drifting prey, hidden dangers, and a delicate balance that keeps this ancient predator alive. In the deep ocean, survival is not just about finding food. It is about enduring the long stretches when there is none. Down here, meals are unpredictable. Days can pass without a single opportunity. And for a predator like the goblin shark, this changes everything. Unlike surface hunters that rely on frequent feeding, the goblin shark exists in a state of calculated restraint. Its slow movement is not weakness. It is strategy. Every motion is minimized. Every calorie conserved. Because in the deep sea, wasting energy can be more dangerous than starvation itself. The goblin shark's metabolism reflects this reality. It is low. Extremely low. Its body is not built for bursts of speed or long chases. Instead, it drifts, hovering in the water column, barely moving, conserving energy like a machine designed for efficiency. And when prey appears, it becomes something else entirely. Its diet reveals just how adaptable it is. Small fish, deep-sea squid, crustaceans, even organisms that drift passively through the water. The goblin shark is not selective. It cannot afford to be. In a world where food is rare, anything edible becomes a target. But catching prey in the deep sea is not just about detection. It is about timing, because many deep-sea creatures are just as adapted as the goblin shark. Some are nearly invisible. Others emit light, bioluminescence used to confuse predators or communicate. Some drift motionless, hoping to avoid detection entirely. And yet, none of these strategies are foolproof, because the goblin shark does not rely on sight. It reads electrical signals, a hidden language of life that cannot be turned off. Even the faintest twitch of muscle, even the smallest heartbeat, becomes a signal, a location, a target. But there is another challenge. Water in the deep sea is dense. Movement creates pressure waves, disturbances that can alert prey before a predator arrives. This is why the goblin shark approaches with such precision. It does not rush. It glides, minimizing turbulence, reducing its presence to almost nothing, until it is close enough for its most terrifying feature to take over. The strike. High-speed footage, captured only in recent years, has revealed something extraordinary. When the goblin shark launches its jaws, it is not just fast. It is one of the fastest feeding movements ever recorded in the ocean. The jaws extend forward with explosive force. Ligaments stretch. Muscles contract. And in a rapid sequence, the mouth transforms from passive to aggressive in an instant. But what makes this even more remarkable is the coordination. As the jaws shoot forward, the shark's entire body adjusts. The head tilts slightly upward. The gill openings expand. Water is drawn inward, creating a suction effect that helps pull prey directly into the mouth. It is not just a bite. It is a system, a synchronized sequence of movements designed to maximize success. And then, just as quickly, it ends. The jaws retract. The prey disappears. And the goblin shark returns to stillness. No struggle. No prolonged chase. Just a single moment of precision. This method is so effective that it allows the goblin shark to survive in one of the most resource-scarce environments on Earth. But it also raises an important question. Why hasn't this strategy evolved further? Why haven't other sharks developed similar mechanisms? The answer lies in trade-offs. The goblin shark's specialized jaw comes at a cost. Its body is not streamlined for speed. Its muscles are not built for endurance. It cannot compete with fast-swimming predators in open water. But it doesn't need to, because it occupies a niche where competition is limited. A place where speed is less important than precision, where patience outperforms power. This is the essence of evolution. Not perfection, but adaptation. And in the deep sea, adaptation often leads to extremes. Creatures that look impossible. Behaviors that seem unnatural. But each one, perfectly suited to its environment. The goblin shark is not alone in this world. It shares the depths with other strange hunters. Dragonfish with glowing lures. Viperfish with oversized teeth. Giant squid with eyes the size of dinner plates. Each one has evolved its own method of survival. Its own way of solving the problem of darkness and scarcity. But the goblin shark stands apart. Because its weapon is not external. Not a lure. Not light. Not camouflage. It is its own face, a structure so unusual that for decades, scientists struggled to understand it. Early specimens, pulled from fishing nets, offered only limited clues. The jaws could extend, but how fast? How far? How often? These questions remained unanswered. It wasn't until deep-sea submersibles and high-speed cameras entered the picture that the truth began to emerge. Footage revealed the full extent of the goblin shark's feeding mechanism. The sudden extension, the precise timing, the near-perfect success rate. and with it, a new understanding. The goblin shark is not a passive drifter. It is an active predator, one that has refined its hunting strategy over millions of years, not through speed, but through engineering. Yet even now, much remains unknown. Goblin sharks are rarely observed in their natural habitat. Most of what we know comes from brief encounters, short glimpses into a life that unfolds far beyond human reach. We do not fully understand their reproduction, their lifespan, their population size, or how they respond to changes in the ocean. And this uncertainty matters, because the deep sea is changing. Human activity is reaching deeper than ever before. Deep sea fishing, mining, pollution, all beginning to impact environments that were once untouched. For creatures like the goblin shark, change may come slowly, but its effects could be profound. The predator so specialized, so finely tuned to its environment, may struggle to adapt if that environment shifts. And yet, there is something resilient about the goblin shark. It has survived mass extinctions, climate shifts, the rise and fall of entire ecosystems. It has endured for over 100 million years. Perhaps it will endure still, but its existence reminds us of something deeper, that the ocean is not fully explored, not fully understood, and not fully under our control. There are creatures down there, ancient, strange, perfectly adapted to worlds we cannot survive in, and they continue to live, to evolve, without us ever truly knowing them. The goblin shark is one of those creatures, a predator from another time, a living fossil, a reminder that evolution does not always create beauty. It creates something